So I started writing a whole bunch of video guides on like beginning players in Warframe, but then I got to thinking, what if you actually don't know what Warframe is and what it's all about? Well, if you don't, that's all about to change. Heads up everybody, my name is SentinelGray and welcome to the channel. What is Warframe? What does it play like? What kind of game is it? And what can you expect from it? Warframe is a lot of things. First and foremost, it's a third-person hack and slash shooter, but that is just the base of it. There are so many levels of depth to this game that there's points in time where you have no idea what you're playing. It's an MMO, a spaceflight sim, a resource management game. Warframe is literally so much. But let's start simple. In Warframe, you play as a Tenno, a group of people that the system all thought vanished in the aftermath of a great war that involved the entire system. As a Tenno, you can control different types of Warframes. Think of Warframes as different suits of armor from Tony Stark's Iron Man arsenal, but with all different types of abilities. The best way I can describe them is different characters from games like Overwatch and League of Legends, minus the personality. There's Warframes that can straight up tank whatever damage you want to dish out to them, and others that can slow your opponents down to a crawling speed that make you easily slay them out. With 47 different Warframes as of this video being made, and each Warframe having 4 different abilities, there is over 188 abilities that are all different that you can use in this game. Not only that, but new frames get added every year, so we can easily reach 50 different frames in no time. With all that being the case, each Warframe does have the same capacity for movement. Usually you may not even think about that, but movement is a very important thing in this game. In case you haven't heard it or seen it anywhere, the tagline for Warframe is literally "Ninjas play free." Not just because the game has always been and always will be free, but also because everyone has the movement of a ninja in the game. You'll often hear or see a lot of people refer to playing Warframe as playing space ninjas for overwhelmingly obvious reasons. Just like any good ninja worth their salt, you can run across walls, fly through the air, walk on wires, and even do crazier hidden blade assassinations like you're playing Assassin's Creed. Movement is a big part of Warframe, and it doesn't matter if you're the chunkiest tank frame or the most slender speed frame. Everyone is able to walk across walls and wires and be able to assassinate as they will. Now, the different sorts of weapons you'll use is pretty open. In Warframe, you have a primary weapon, a secondary weapon, and a melee weapon that you can have on you at one time. All of the weapons that can go in those slots vary greatly as well. In your primary slot, you can have normal things like an assault rifle, a shotgun, or even like a bow and arrow. And there's some crazier things like a rifle that shoots out saw blades, or a weapon that looks like you took a cannon straight off of a pirate ship and are dragging it around because why not? Secondary weapons are no different, from normal pistols, revolvers, and submachine guns to a gun that literally shoots a microwave laser that burns your foes from the inside out. And if you thought melee weapons were any different, then you'd be wrong. Swords, axes, bow staffs, a throwing hammer like Thor, or even straight up boxing gloves. Warframe has an overabundance of weapons that any frame can use, and you will never be restricted. With all these weapons and Warframes, though, comes the more MMO feel of Warframe. Most of the equipment and items in the game you have to craft yourself. And crafting these items not only requires blueprints, but also materials. Both of those require grinding. Warframe is a very grind-heavy game, so if you find a Warframe or weapon you want, you're most likely going to have to grind out a mission over and over and over again to get what you need. Sometimes you hit it lucky and get all the parts you need for that Warframe that can summon undead thralls in only like 3 runs. But then other times you have to fight that 3-headed boss 20 times just to get the 1 blueprint you're missing to drop for you. Not only that, but after you acquire all the blueprints, you need those materials to make whatever it is you were grinding for. Luckily, whenever it comes to materials, there are a number of different farming methods that are viable in the game, and a lot of them the developers 100% encourage. The silver lining to this is that 99% of the missions in the game are procedurally generated, meaning that you will never get the same map twice, unless it's certain missions. Like I said, 99%. That helps keep the game a little less repetitive and a bit more fresh whenever you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's actually pretty nice. When it comes to crafting items though, the game takes a little bit of inspiration from mobile games. When you use your foundry to create an item, it doesn't just instantly get created. You have to wait a certain amount of real-world time in order for your item to get made. Usually weapons can take anywhere between 8 to 24 hours to make, while Warframes take somewhere around 5 days. Now, before this scares you off, believe me, I was not a fan of this system at first either. But in my experience, that wait time doesn't even bother you once you're about 3 or 4 weeks into the game. Hell, there will be times where you have so many things building in your foundry that you'll forget all about them, because I know I do. I have like 7 things in my foundry right now that I still need to collect. However, if you really want to skip the wait time, you can do so with the in-game currency called platinum. By spending platinum, you can instantly build whatever item you're waiting for without having to wait any time at all. But that's not all you could do with plat. On the other hand, you can take the easy route and just buy that necromancer frame from the market if you have the currency to do so. Warframe can either be about spending time or about spending money on what you need. And luckily, as someone who's played 400 plus hours, I can tell you with absolute certainty that Warframe is not a pay-to-win game. It is, however, a pay for convenience, if anything. You still need to take time and level up your Warframes, weapons, pets, equipment, so don't think you could just buy your way through this entire game, or there will ever be a time that you have to spend money to progress. Since this game is free to play, the devs have to make money somewhere, and the way of convenience is one of the ways that they do so. Now, I was talking before about how Warframe is a bunch of different types of games wrapped into one, and I think the only way that I can really give a good example is to go over some of the things that you can do or get into. You can have your very own starship and participate in space battles that feel like Star Wars or Star Trek. You can live your interior designed fantasies by not only decorating your personal ship, but your clan's base as well. And there are some super impressive things that have been created from the player base. You can play the stock market by buying and trading items in the game with other players using that in-game currency I spoke of previously. You can mine materials to craft weapons, armor pieces, or just sell them outright. Or you can spend your nights just winding down sitting at the local beach catching fish. And that's not even all of it. There's a ton to do in the game, and I'm not going to go over every single detail, but that should be enough to at least pique your interest. And actually, that stock market thing that I mentioned before can be a big part of the game. Warframe has a community-driven economy that deals in the buying, selling, and trading of items in the game. There's almost no limit to this, and it's something I know a lot of players get into since certain items get rotated in and out of loot pools, which sometimes makes them harder to find. If you happen to have all of the blueprints for a certain Warframe that you just can't get right now, you can sell it for a decent bit of that in-game currency platinum. Not only that, but there's an entire website that is dedicated to that I can only describe as eBay for Warframe, minus the whole bidding element. All of this is backed up by an extremely welcoming community. I was lucky whenever I first got started and had a few friends who were about a month or more ahead of me in everything. They were able to guide me to different places to farm weapons, Warframes, materials, or like whatever, and made everything extremely easy. My personal friends weren't the only ones who helped out though. While I was streaming the game, there were actually tons of people who helped me out and gifted me with some things that I needed whenever I was stuck. A lot of the player base loves to help out new players because they know how difficult it is to start the game without a guide. There's a lot to this game and a lot that it doesn't tell you. It's one of the reasons why I'm making this guide series in the first place. There's honestly a lot to go over for this game, but as for an answer of what is Warframe, that's as much as I'm going to give you for right now. Like I said, I'm in the middle of making a new player's guide to help you get into the game without getting overwhelmed, because you can very easily do so. If there are any questions that you have, please feel free to either put them down in the comments below or come find me over on my Twitch channel on Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, or Saturdays, where it'll be a lot easier to have a conversation about anything you need. You can find a link for that down in the description box below. And remember, if you liked the video and this helped you out, please go ahead and like the video and subscribe to see more. Thank you guys very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you all next time. Remember, keep your heads up and be kind to each other. Bye now.